Hello,
Welcome,
hello.
welcome back.
Thanks, man.
How's things at your end now? You're in somewhere in France, man. Some
I
crazy
am
little
in
spot
the
near the Pyrenees or
yeah,
something.
I'm in the yes, in the Saint-Jean-Pied-de-Port, the pilgrim hub of the world. Um, yeah, a very beautiful little town that feels like home to a pilgrim. Everywhere you look, there's pilgrim symbols or pilgrim hostels or anything that has to do with pilgrim life. So yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Um,
It looked like very beautiful town, like with old buildings and everything. Sort of just based on the
yeah.
intro video that you uploaded earlier.
Yeah, this area is like this. When you walk in, in the end of yesterday, you would be able to see all the houses, which are white and red, with the red shutters and doors, and it's just really beautiful place. So
It's
um,
vastly different to this part of the world.
it's obviously it's in the Pyrenees, so it's sort of in a valley of one, I guess. It's very it feels like home. Like I've been here. I was here a full day yesterday, and came in the day before, and yeah, it's just special. It's really special it's special to be here, especially to walk in and arrive here.
Yeah.
Because last time I took a bus from somewhere else. It's I don't know. It's just special. You'll know if you are a pilgrim. So
Yeah. But man, I mean, look, like since last time we spoke was about 5 weeks ago. That was on, you were around, I think you just got into Paris, which sort of, let me just
it's
try and bring
actually
that up.
6 weeks. It's 6 weeks. Yeah, I came in on the first of September. So it's actually 6 weeks exactly.
Yep. So see, based on your timeline here, I've just got a YouTube channel up here. So I think that was around day 72 or something like that, where you just arrived in Paris here. And you're up to day number 115 now. Shit.
Yeah. So today is 116.
Yes, man, that's crazy. So you've been walking now for about 4 months.
Yeah, almost 4 months. Yeah, seven plus weeks. Yeah. I don't know if it's good to maybe give a short brief introduction for people.
Yeah, absolutely. I think it'd be fun for maybe even people that have sort of been watching the other episodes that we've done as well. But just I would like to sort of get an updated thought process on when you started to where you are now, because obviously when you first started, you didn't know if you were going to finish and all that. But the initial thought from when you started up until now, if you want to quickly just run through that would be
sure.
That would be awesome.
Yep. So everything, it sort of was in a process from I was in a relationship until the beginning part of May, and that ended, and then I moved somewhere, and there was a lot of green and nature and fields around, and I just began to process that by walking. So I did like a trip in the morning, a trip in before afternoon, and then a trip in the evening. So it became like 4 to 6 hours of walking per day. And I just walked, and it became a rhythm. And then a month later, I went out to the ocean, and for some reason, when I got there was this epiphany that came to me that why, Gideon, it's like a voice, Gideon, why don't you just walk from Denmark to Santiago? And
why not?
Why not? Like nothing else is happening. But it made me smile. Like it was the first time I really felt like a genuine sort of smile inside, or whatever you want to call that. And same, just a half an hour later, I shared it with my parents that I was going to meet. And I felt even more, like this just felt right. I just smiled like genuinely, and it just felt right. So I listened, and I started walking 2 weeks later, which seems to be a really quick decision, but it was not really a decision at that time, because to skip forward to now, or to just the whole trip, it's been a calling. Based on what happened that day, I've just relied totally on that faith, or that trust that, okay, this is what I'm supposed to do. I'm literally being pulled in this direction. So I don't feel that I decided to do it. I felt like something told me to do it. So I'm basing that on a faith. Of course, it feels good and it feels right, but I don't feel I made the decision to do it, even though it, of course, can. I mean, of course, in some ways, maybe I did, but then when you start the Camino or the pilgrimage, it's important to have a pilgrim passport. I don't have it right here, but if people have seen it, it's a little passport where you get stamps along the way, and it's important to start at a cathedral, because then when you arrive in Santiago, they can see where you started. So I started in Viborg, which is the northern part of Jutland, the part that connects Germany to Denmark, I guess you can say.
Yep.
Started there, and just walked south towards the border of Germany, to give you the trip. I don't know if you have the picture of the.
No, what I'm doing. If you just want to keep talking, I'm just going to bring up Google Maps so I can just show that instead. That's probably better.
So the first 300 kilometers was from Viborg to the border, and then from there I walked down to Glückstadt, where we had the first talk. And my initial plan was to take the ferry across the Elbe river. But then the next morning I was like, nah, I'm going to totally regret taking a ferry and not walking. So I decided to walk all the way down to Hamburg, because I found out that there was a underground tunnel across the river. So I actually made one of the longest walks that day of more than 40 kilometers to get down there. Then crossing the tunnel and went sort of west. My plan was to go to Paris, so I didn't really walk towards Santiago initially, but walking towards Paris. So after Hamburg, it was more west, and that meant I went towards Düsseldorf, Dortmund, and then Düsseldorf, I guess. What was first? Dortmund, I think. And then towards Belgium, Liège, Belgium, and down to Paris, and then south of there towards Orléans, Tours, and Bordeaux, and now here to the Pyrenees of France and Spain. So that was sort of the itinerary, I guess.
I'll just try and type in here from Glückstadt to where you are now. So that'll be a pretty good indicator of like, again, the distance traveled and all that. It actually says here, I think it said it was about 384 kilometers from Viborg to Glückstadt or something. So that's a bit more than an average walk.
Yeah, must have been a bit more than that, I think.
Let me just have another look. But yeah, keep going. What is there to say about that? Of course, the initial phase of the walk was in Denmark, and I think the initial phase is it's not superficial, but it's sort of on the surface. That, of course, I have not gotten used to the life yet, or it was more it was more trying to get going with this pilgrimage. So it was what am I trying to say?
It took time. It took time to get used to, I guess, like any journey. But yeah, I actually don't know what to say about that right now. But
again, like when we spoke the first time, you were in that was when you were in Glückstadt, I'm pretty sure. When we had the first chat, and you walked these, I don't know, it still says about 300 and something kilometers, but I'm sure walking, and you would have done a couple of detours and whatnot. But when you were there, it was still sort of fairly early in the journey. I think you'd been walking for just over a month at that point or something like that. And again, that was a very different conversation to the one we had second time. And then now sort of watching your updates over the last couple of days, it seems like your mindset has changed progressively along the journey. So it like I'm curious sort of to see like the main changes that has happened since last time, because I remember one of the biggest things you mentioned last time was that crazy night where you got like you arrived to this town and everything was shut, and there was like you couldn't get any food and there was nowhere to stay, and you were sitting at this bus stop at 10 o'clock at night or something, and it was pissing down, and all of a sudden these nice people come and invite you to come and stay at their house. But that whole video, which I think that was day number 65 or something like that. It was just before you entered Paris. France, France. But that video had a lot of mixed emotions, because again, like you were like in the beginning of the video, you're talking about how this experience has sort of changed you in regards to like the mental grit required to just push through and keep going and stuff. And then you had this really, I think that must have been a bit of a milestone, sort of sitting in that rain, just thinking everything is shit. And then pushing through that.
I think there was definitely kind of a climax. There was definitely more of a climax that I will share that came after Paris. But the first 2 months were definitely the toughest, in the sense that I just had so much to process. I had so much to process because I was so angry at how things ended with that relationship. I was so angry at myself and many things, and I think I was just really. I was not at a point where I was content or happy or about, any, I mean, of course there were days that I liked, and of course, it's never absolute in that sense, but it was just, it was just early on, and there was just, it was just a lot to process. I mean, it was just very difficult. I felt more alone than I do now. And so on. So I definitely felt more alone during that time. And the mindset that I have now, I mean, the last 5 days, the 5-6 days before I came here, I felt so light and content, and I walked 160 kilometers in 5 days. I have not done that before. And wow. I felt like my legs were just strong. I felt light. I felt motivated. Everything was just in a flow where, okay, I'm I can't stop. Like, it's just fun, and I think it was sort of coming together in a really positive way these last days, which can make sense that, okay, this was a huge goal. This has been the biggest destination so far. And because for a pilgrim, this is the most important place to almost get to, besides Santiago and Finisterre that you're walking towards now. But, the gradual process is definitely comes with the time. The first 2 months were just, there were some days where I was just raging, like with so much frustration and anger, and it was because it had to come out somehow. And for many years I have suppressed myself and that's also some insights that I've gotten, that I've suppressed myself so much because I know that I realize that I'm an empath. I'm a very sensitive guy that just takes in people's energies. And I've done that from the very early part of my life. And I realized that I've been in relationships that have been sort of narcissistic or whatever, which means that I've been, because I'm sensitive, because I don't want to hurt people's feelings, or I don't want to be the bad guy. I've suppressed myself and not stood up for myself and be honest about, what is okay for me. So that means that I've suppressed myself and become very, very angry. That took a lot of processing the first 2 months or around the first 2 months. And I think coming into Paris, or sort of that was a giant motivation too. I felt very motivated by arriving into Paris because it was such a big city and a big goal. It was sort of almost halfway or about halfway. Could take some days off. And of course I had a goal of getting new shoes because the ones I had were sort of smashed. But what started to happen after Paris was that I, without knowing it, really entered the toughest phase of the entire trip. First of all, the shoes were just slightly different from what I was used to. And it took me about 7+ days to break in those shoes. And I've never tried that before. I've never tried to break in shoes in a way that where the pain of it is just like, what the hell is happening with my feet? Within the first week, I felt like I was walking on there was sandpaper inside the shoe, just rubbing on my feet. And in addition to that, I felt like there was like nails, the nails that were just sort of poking. That's how it felt like. And
did you get the right size?
Yeah, everything was like normal. It was just a different type of the Salomon shoes that I usually have, and they were just maybe a bit tougher in its in the I don't know, fabric, or in the sides, or what do you call the top, the top area of the shoe. So I guess my feet just needed to they were not as strong compared to that, whatever it was made of, and I began to have so much pain. It was crazy. Like, it was so uncomfortable that I was really getting even more angry at that. There was day 79, I think. We talked 70. So I walked out of Paris on day 76, and I think the first day or something were okay, but then the feet really began to suck. Like, they just hurt. I mean, it was really like, I don't know how to explain it other than what I just did, but in between Paris and Orléans was very desert-like, or it was very sort of bare. It was not very pretty at all. And on day 79, I just wanted to get to Orléans because I knew I had to sort of get there and take maybe a break or whatever. And it didn't. Sometimes I either make bad decisions, or I sort of just do something to sort of do whatever, to get somewhere, or to move forward, or to. And I think my motivation that day was just sort of like, okay, I need to. Yeah, also because accommodation was sort of weird sometimes. It didn't really fit with the, and then maybe I didn't want to walk too far to Orléans the next day, and then so that was after a day I've been camping, and then I walked like 8 or 9 kilometers into a town, and then I sort of had to decide, okay, what will I do? And then I was like, okay, I want to get to this place because then I'm sort of close to Orléans, and then I can be close to having a day off or something, and for some reason I had looked it up, and I'd said like, okay, 30 kilometers, and I already walked like 7 or something, which was okay. So I can do that, no problem. And then when I just booked and looked it up again, it said 37, and it's like, 7 kilometers is not a big deal. But when I had done that, my instinct reaction was inside. This was a really bad decision. This will be so painful that I won't be able to understand it. That was my intuition just told me that I will walk straight into pain and suffering. I just knew that, it was so like, okay, this was a bad decision. I felt like to my core, I was like, okay, this is going to suck so bad. This is going to hurt so much. I knew that this pain was coming, it was not a very fun experience, because it's like the opposite. When you know something is good, it's like you feel it. This was like the opposite. I just felt like I just knew this was just gonna, like, it was not a fun experience at all. Knowing this, because by then I already had my shoes were just still, it was uncomfortable already. So I just knew that this was just not gonna be good. So and the entire day was going to be sort of straight along either the highway or a train line. And so it's going to be easy enough in terms of just walking straight. But I was in a time where it was almost starting over. The 3 days in Paris have been really good, been really nice to be, to relax. But it was like when I started up again, and of course it must have been contributed to the shoes, but it was really starting over somehow. Like it was really like restarting the whole thing.
And you couldn't just get some new shoes?
I decided not to anyway. I think I think actually the reason for Orléans was actually that I knew that I could get new shoes there.
Right.
Also,
right.
So it was sort of like, I had to get there to be able to get new shoes. I mean, if that was the case. So there was a lot of things sort of involved in that. So I started walking, and there was nothing pretty about that trip. I started walking into a village, and I started walking the wrong direction. And of course, I already started to feel that this was just hurting, and I was just angry. And if you see the video, I was just so furious. Like it was the anger came out of my ears. And it was interesting because I kept thinking about the guy who sold me the shoes, because he was such a nice guy, and he subscribed to my YouTube channel. So I knew that if he had seen that, he would really get a really. Hopefully, he wouldn't take it personally, but I was just like, in the videos, I was just like, this shoes suck, and I was just like so angry that it was, I was furious. But I also realized during that I was also very angry at myself, or at anything, at everything. Like it was just like, because I know I have been angry throughout my life for various reasons, both because of the religious stuff that I come from and the relationships I've been in, and there was just a lot of things that sort of correlated with that anger, and I just accepted halfway or something that, okay, I'm just an angry guy. It really came out really honestly that I felt like, okay, I'm angry. This is who I am. Like, it just came out like that. And it was like the peak. I've never been so angry before, I think, like at least not on the trip, but it came out in a way that I just sort of, it was just steam and anger, and it just all came out so really honestly, but in a way that it really felt like that this is how it is. This is who I am, I guess, and then what was so weird is that there was about 23 kilometers left, and then I walked into a town where there was a camping site. And I already knew that. But walking into the town, I was like, I didn't really understand why I had not just booked, or not booked that place way far away, and not just taken the camping site, because I could have ended the misery,
Oh, so this is where you still had another 10 kilometers to go?
No, I had another 23.
Shit.
Yeah, and I had already walked like what was that? 3 hours.
That was another sort of quick question. Like roughly, what pace are you walking? So again, if you're saying how many kilometers can you do in 1 hour?
5. Yeah, about 5. I can about calculate it within 15 minutes of arriving. If I, per kilometer. But yeah, walking into that town, which I knew was going to be the last one after, like, there was going to be 23 left and there was going to be nothing in between. I really was like, what the fuck am I doing? Like, why did I make this kind of a weird decision, you know? And then I went into town and I was like, I had nothing more to drink. And I had about no food, and there was just one store, and I went in there, and I bought like these weird not alcohol-free drinks. There was these sweet, I have one here actually. One of these is like a sort of a fruit kind of non-alcoholic drink. And I was really upset in there. Like I was just angry at this everything. So I went into the store and I wanted to buy just a couple of these because of course I couldn't carry like a 6-pack as they got them. So I went up to the counter and she said, you can only have 6. And I was like, oh, come on. And okay, then I just bought it and I gave her and her boss one because I was just like pissed off, and they were happy. They were happy like, oh, really? And I was just pissed off, you know, like, and I went out there and drank that because I needed energy. I needed something, you know, and and I put the rest in my water bottle, and so I had sort of a weird watery, sugary lemon drink or whatever it was, and then I was like, okay, and it was really hot too. So 23 kilometers, and I already was in pain, and I knew I was going to be in even more pain. So for that reason, I bought the audiobook of Steve-O, you know, Steve-O from Jackass.
Yeah, absolutely.
A memoir. So I downloaded that book because I thought, okay, that's probably funny, so maybe that will distract me just a bit to and do something, like an idiot like him would do maybe. So I was walking and it just got worse and worse. And when I got to the about 5 kilometers left, or probably before that, that was the first time I have actually doubted that I could finish a day. It was just so painful that I couldn't even, like, I had to stop and really like hunch over and down, and like really, it was so amazingly painful that it's hard to describe. But of course, when you get down to like 5 kilometers, you begin to see that, okay, it's closer now. And for some reason, I got to this 5 kilometer mark. And then I started, and it was so much pain that I started jogging. It was totally, it made no sense, but I just started to do something different because I needed to change the pace or change something because it was just so painful to walk in that same way. So I started to like jog weirdly and just to get somewhere to do something. And what really started to be interesting was that I began to sort of coach myself the last 3 to 4 kilometers, like, okay, come on, Gideon, and coach myself like I was this third person guy. And the first thing that started to happen was that, why the fuck am I so angry? You know, I started to question myself, why am I so angry all the time? Where does all this anger come from? And I really started to ask questions, like really like trying to dig into it through the pain, you know, like, why the fuck am I so angry? Because it must come from somewhere, you know? And I started to understand that, trying to get these answers, that first of all, I was angry at that I couldn't change or make a difference in, first of all, in that past relationship, because that's the only woman that I ever really liked, that I was with. I really was really fond of her. I'm still fond of her, but in a way that I knew that was special, you know, was really special to me. But I was just sort of angry at why the hell am I in a situation where I can't change stuff, and where does this come from? And I also realized, when I asked those questions, that I come from my dad's parents are very, the word religious narcissists was my answer that I got, because they were so into religion that they didn't care about me, so they didn't see who I was. So like a narcissist that doesn't have any empathy for you, I felt like it was sort of similar. And I sort of connected those two dots, and I'm like, maybe that's why I'm angry, because I'm fighting against something I can't change, So that was sort of a really nice insight to get, even though it was that during that painful time of that day or whatever. But I guess it was sort of for a reason, because it correlated with the pain that I felt or anger that I felt for many, many years, and been sort of a consistent companion of frustration, What continued to happen was that I continued to pace myself with coaching with myself, and I just really started to, come on, you can do this, and you're great, and you all these good things that really helped. And what was really special was that when you have, I don't know if you've tried meditation or yoga or something, but when you learn to accept in all these different spiritual practices, you practice accepting things for as they are. And just like when we talked about the silent retreat that I did, is basically looking at things the way it is and accept it for what it is. And all of a sudden, within the last 2 kilometers, I just accepted the pain. I accepted in a way where I felt this amazing body emotion where I just accepted the pain. So instead of fighting it that I'd done all day and maybe the days before, I just accepted it. And that meant that for the first time in maybe those days, I smiled genuinely, like in a way that I haven't before, because I accepted the pain. So instead of fighting it, I just accepted it and almost enjoyed it. It was really like a special experience where I was just like totally present with the pain. Wow. Rather than going up against it, And that made me really, that made a difference, because I have not been as angry since then at all.
But your feet hasn't hurt as much either.
No, I mean, of course, the day after was as sucky. That was a short day of like 10 or 12 kilometers, but that was just like continuing from the day before. And then I had an off day in Orléans, or I had 2 short days. There's just 2 short days, I think. But yes, I started to get used to them after like a week or 10 days. So it became better, but I didn't experience the same type of anger if I went the wrong way, or at least it didn't last very long. And that was really special to experience, because I knew that when I arrived that day, after that day 79, something had changed. And that was really special, because and when I look back, I can definitely see that, I really definitely don't feel as angry anymore. I mean, it really feels like those last 3 to 4 kilometers, I really accepted a lot of things that I had been fighting for many years. So that was special. But the first 10 days after, or the first period of time after Paris, was just really tough. The landscape was tough. It was bare. It was not very exciting. And it was like restarting in some way. That was definitely a climax when it comes to misery.
Well, again, you have been walking for quite some time. I just brought up the map again, just so people can get a rough idea of the actual distance across Europe here. It's like you've covered from Viborg down to where you are now. If you go in a straight line, it's about 1,900 kilometers. But obviously, you've been doing a very different path than just walking straight. It's to me, even just thinking about doing, even just walking for one day of what you've done is, I think we've sort of gone through that in some of the other chats we've had as well, is more than most people can fathom. And you've been walking for nearly 4 months, and you've been walking over 2,000 kilometers. It's just mind-boggling when you think about it. And if we are sort of heading down if I was thinking, heading down to where you are now, like you still got, see, where is Santiago? Santiago's over here. So you still got, wow. Yeah. It's still a while to go, man.
Yeah. But I mean, I mean, arriving here and looking back, it's weird, like, because I thought about this when we were going to talk, was that, like, if you work towards something for a long time, it doesn't matter if it's a piece of art, music, or whatever project it is, and it sort of manifests and it's finished or it's done. It's like, what the heck happened? Like if you worked on it for like intensely for like months, and you've taken all these steps to actually make it happen. You've made errors, you've tried, you have practiced, you've done all these things. You have worked on it. You've become just like a language, and like you become good at something for an intense period of time, and then you're done, and it's like, what happened? It's like you look back, and the way I feel now is like it's all a dream. All of a sudden, it's like, what happened? It really it's sort of, also because I think walking is sort of like, it's so connected,
But the crazy thing about you though is that like when you first had the idea, like it was almost like we spoke about that on the first time when you were in Glückstadt. It was almost like you had the idea, and a couple of weeks later, you just started, like you just did it. And like, I'm just going to try it. I'm just going to see how I'm going to go, and you were sort of very certain in the first episode, I might not finish. It's fine if I don't, I'm just going to try and do it and see how far I get and stuff. And it was like, it was a very different and much more sort of emotional conversation compared to the one we had last time. And also on the one that we're having right now, because you can just see how you've grown, I suppose is a good word, but how you've sort of developed that mindset as time went on.
For sure.
And it's just like it's really interesting to see, because again, it seems like you're a lot more determined now. You got a lot more sort of confidence, and like there's no doubt you're gonna finish now. Is that right? Like you're,
for sure.
Yeah. So and again, you're how many weeks away from Santiago? Roughly?
4.5 maybe.
4.5. So say you're gonna finish probably mid to late November. And just out of curiosity, what's the weather like at the moment? Like when you're walking now, because again, you're coming to like you're coming into like almost coming into winter in Europe.
Yeah. I mean, around the Pyrenees here, it's rainy and it's not stable at all. So today will probably be wet, and maybe tomorrow as well. But I just heard from the host here at the hostel that in the middle part of the country, it's still dry, so it should be okay. But right here and at the end in Galicia, there's more precipitation, so it should be more wet start and finish. So
and what sort of temperature?
Yeah, it's around 20, so it's I mean, temperature wise, it's good for
nice.
walking. Yeah, it's perfect for walking. So yeah, we'll see how it goes. But the last few days have been a bit wet because of the mountains. So but yeah, you go ahead.
But have you experienced or have you heard of any sort of restrictions in regards to COVID sort of being out there? Is that something that has especially sort of, again, I'm not too familiar with how the situation is in France and Spain at the moment, but has there been any indications of whether that's going to put any limitations to your walking?
The only one right now is that the town of Lyon is the second bigger town. They have closed, so I'll probably have to walk a different route. But I already know, that I can which one to take, sort of. Okay. So, yeah. I mean, but either way, if big towns do close, I will just walk around. So I'm not really I'm not that worried about that.
And I can see it. It looks like you're very. I'm just going to bring the map up again here. It looks like you're very close to the border at the moment.
Yeah.
So that'll be the border down here.
Yeah.
So the next town you're gonna walk to, which one is that, and when are you planning on heading out?
Yeah, so I will walk pretty much right after we have finished. It's called Roncesvalles. So you see that right there underneath the red N135.
Oh, here?
Or Roncesvalles.
Yep.
Right where you have your.
Down here. Yep.
Yeah, that's the mountain. So that's where you pass the border, actually, on the mountain.
Yep.
That's where I'm heading. So that's the first. It's not really that far in distance, but it takes a while because it's up and down a mountain.
Yeah, you can see all the Pyrenees here.
Yeah, but it doesn't. I don't think it will be clear enough. I hope it will, because last time when I walked there, it was all cloudy and foggy. Because the view obviously is pretty amazing from up there. But I don't think we'll see what the weather is like. Maybe it changes enough to show some distance or show some landscape. But
so the plan is to head out once we're done talking here.
Yes.
Yeah, wicked. Yeah, because like for people who are sort of maybe unaware of the time difference, it's about 7:45 in the morning. Is that right?
Yes.
At the moment. Yeah. Yep. So that's cool. So you have like how many hours of walking have you got ahead of you?
I actually don't know. The last time when I did the walk, it only took like 4 or 5 hours, but the guy here said it takes 7. So in between that, I guess. But I don't think it's a very long walk today. Well,
7 hours is a more than almost a full day at work for most people. So
yeah. But I do think it's less than that. But but up and down a mountain is, of course, it's the toughest, one of the toughest days on the whole this last period in terms of what do you say, altitude
how far up are you altitude wise?
It's more than in between 1,000 and 1,500 meters.
Wow.
But I think it can also definitely be one of the most dangerous because the weather can change fast, and you're walking into a forest, one of the places, and I was told not to go down there because it's very muddy and stuff. It's just very muddy, and I walked down the forest last time, and I just realized when walking down there, and the weather was not very good. If it really becomes stormy and really becomes extreme, then you're fucked. No one will be able to come and get you. If it really goes bad, then all you can do is just sit somewhere and hope for the best.
What about your tent? Would you be able to quickly put that up?
No.
I don't get too wet.
Yeah, or just, if it's under the trees there, maybe, but I would, I don't know what I would do. I don't know, but hopefully it won't happen.
Yeah.
So,
but so that means that by the time, sort of like in about say 10 hours or so, you should be in Spain. Is that right?
Yes. Oh yeah, definitely.
For dinner.
Yeah. Hopefully for dinner. I actually don't know if there's anything. So you're having breakfast here. I have some. They prepared a bit for me, and then I have some fruit, and then I have to go by the post office because I bought new shoes.
Yeah. We saw that. We saw that in the intro. So that'd be the first day you need to walk in those. Yeah,
and of course, some people would say this is probably a bad idea, but I know this model is the one that I would have bought if I could in Paris, and this is the one I've used all the time, and it's very soft compared to the other one I had. So I'm course, it's not ideal to start off in those, but I'm not worried. I know, I don't know, I feel them. I know them well, so then I'll mail the other ones back, because my goal is that I will cut off the soles of the shoes, the 2 other pairs of shoes I've used as a memory, and then
wicked. So are you sending them back to Denmark?
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, just where I had my stuff. So, yeah, I don't know, just something to do, I guess.
But dude, man, like honestly, man, you're so close to the goal now. I mean, I know you still have about, as you said, 4 or 5 weeks left, but that's so close to compare to, the 4 months that you've been walking.
Yeah.
What do you think? What's going to be in store when you arrive? Like, then it's all over.
Yeah, it's a good question. The beautiful thing about this last part is the one I've been looking forward to. It is a long, beautiful home stretch because I feel at home here. I know I'll meet other pilgrims. I love this trail. It's really part of my, who I am, being a pilgrim and doing this. I mean, walking the streets here, I was like, I could definitely live here. I mean, I feel so close and so bonded to what it will say to be a pilgrim and to this whole Camino, the symbols and all that. So I just been looking forward to it because I know that now I have done it all. Like I know I've done this one before. I think I also feel more relaxed. Like the last days, I feel way more relaxed than I have. I feel I can enjoy it. I feel like just sort of relax and just be present. So I also know that this last time I know I can do it because I've done it before already. And so that's right. It makes me comfortable. It makes me motivated, but it's a bonus. It's a bonus of. And of course, I walked the whole way because I knew I would get to this place, to right where I am, and it's also why I feel pretty good because I'm here. I accomplished what I wanted to, and of course, I can't just neglect that the last period could be challenging too, because I know the middle part of Spain is very bare as well. There's nothing to distract you, and so on. So I mean, hopefully, it's still challenging. Hopefully, there's still some work to do on the inside, because I still feel that there is some stuff that needs to be worked on. But yeah, what is after? I actually don't really know. I will really rely on my faith again and just sort of trust that when I reach the ocean, I will either know, or I will sort of gain a clarity either up until then, or maybe the days after. We'll see.
But I suppose, like, technically nothing should be stopping you from staying for at least for a little while. But I suppose, you'd find out by the time you get there.
Yeah, I'll definitely stay there for some days. It's such a beautiful place. Finisterre is one of my favorite places in the world. I need a picture with my shell where it writes, if you haven't seen the first video, you can see my Camino shell where it says from Viborg to Paris to Santiago. I probably have to add the 0.0 there, but I look forward to, that's been in the image in my head for the whole time, is to be next to that 0.0 marker and just know that I did it. And that's been the most emotional part for me when I talk about it, is because it's just, I don't know, it's just that's going to be very, very incredibly special to stand there, to stand there. And to also and something I talked to my brother about. I mean, I think which I talked to one of the hosts here yesterday as well. When we do something in our life, when we experience anything, it doesn't matter if it doesn't matter what it is. I don't think enough of us actually understands that there is a reflection period. There's a period after that, and that has to be taken seriously. Like, there is a processing period with regards to anything when you accomplish something, or if something stops or something changes, because now, like, for this example, yes, I have walked for like 5 months by then. And then stopping walking, I mean, that's going to be a hell of a difference.
Oh, for sure.
So
what are you going to get up to in the morning?
Yeah, I know. So I can't just neglect that and say, okay, and of course I could still do short walks and stuff, but if I really feel that that's the finish, then I really have to take that seriously and reflect and process that in a healthy way. Because if I don't do that, then that could actually lead to something maybe not so healthy. And I think the period after something significant has finished is really important to actually spend time on that with as much seriousness or with as much commitment as the time before, because you don't stop being human. You don't stop being who you are. Actually, you probably are more than what you used to be, but you need to really understand that what has happened, like what has gone on, and actually begin to I'm probably going to do writing, or think about it, maybe share it with people, and just sort of process it.
Yep.
And of course I look forward to do that. I look forward to share this. I really do. I really look forward to share this and all the insights that I've gotten, because I really begin to understand and gain confidence in myself that I haven't really experienced in some years, that I did something way beyond what I thought maybe I could, or just because of the length of it, it really is a long commitment, but I really look forward to use it, for.
But you've done obviously, but again, like you've done a shitload of documenting, like again on your YouTube channel, like you posted a video every day. Is that right?
Yes.
Yeah. So that's a lot of work on top of you walking.
I mean, of course, it's very rough edited, so it's not like crazy professional. The most edited videos are the weird rainy one, the first day in Germany, and the Forrest Gump tribute.
But again, like it really suits the format though. Again, because it is you doing what you're doing, sort of a little bit like a man-made documentary, like where you are on the road, and you said last time was you're actually working from your laptop as well, like you're doing some work every so often when you have access to the internet as well. So it sounds like you got some pretty full days, and sometimes some pretty.
It is full on. Yeah, I mean, to give you what is it? What's a day? What is a day like? For some reason, I have not started out early. Most pilgrims, they start out walking at 6 or 7, a.m. But the last period of time, I just started, 9 or 10, or sometimes later than that. But then you either I have some food or I don't, and then I walk with food, or I go to somewhere to get something, and then I just walk for those 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 hours, depending on the distance that day. And I take, 1 or 2 breaks during the day. And, the last days I haven't really taken many breaks, but, and then I arrive, find my place if I haven't done that the day before, check in, take a shower, and then I start, working right away. And either I go to a restaurant to eat, or, buy some weird food to put in a bowl and eat that. And then I do the editing, I mean, it's my way of relaxing actually after a day. Because it's not intense work, but it's sort of, it's enjoyable.
But you've been doing that like this. I understand at some point, like I'm sure it'll be routine for you now, but you've been doing this for 4 months. Yeah. So again, like, does it ever get boring or repetitive?
No, actually, it doesn't. I mean, of course, some days are sort of.
That's awesome.
Some days are maybe less fun, but it's just that's what's so weird about this, that when people say that this, wow, amazing and congratulations and it's crazy and whatever, and when I tell people that in a hotel or something, when I check in that I walk from Denmark, they're literally like their mouths are like
Of course, because it's a fucking ridiculously crazy achievement.
Yeah, people don't understand it. But what I feel is very different, because I don't feel I'm doing this. I really feel like I'm pulled. Like there's something pulling in me. There is some energy in me that is pulling me. And I don't know what it is. I'm just following it.
Yep.
I really am. I mean, I don't feel this when I wake up in the morning. Yeah, there's been some days where it's like, okay, I feel less motivated maybe, or less, whatever about, okay, I have to walk again. But it's so minuscule to what, to this energy or this whatever is pulling me. Like it can't stop. I can't stop me or whatever. It's just I'm just waking up and I do whatever, and it guides me, it pulls me. And so often when I have started walking, if those days where I feel like a little bit less, when I start walking, it's like, yes, I'm back, I'm home. This is what I'm meant to do right now. And I think the last line I wrote in my diary yesterday is that the reason why I love it is because my life is a pilgrimage. I realize that I see my life as a pilgrimage. If you look at the logo I got made, some years ago, Journey Navigator, the compass, you can see that on my YouTube if people are looking, and the other logo I got made, or my title of my book is about, your unique journey and our journey in life. So for some reason I have, and I made these before I started walking, like before I walked any Camino, that there was something in me that knew that walking out on this road that you can't see end is something for me. It's and I don't know where that comes from, but it's just, and I realize now that it's just part of me. It's who I am. It's part of what I love and the beauty of life. And I think that's what's so beautiful about walking, is that it's the biggest and most beautiful metaphor for life. And I think we talked about that last time. I think it teaches you everything you need to know. And when I say you, of course, I can't say that it will teach everybody the same, but it has the potential to teach you everything, because you're faced with yourself all the time when you walk, and you're grounded. You are on the ground. You're literally stuck to the ground. And there are so many metaphors that I look forward to reflecting on, to actually begin to capture what is this thing? Why is it so special? Why is it that so many pilgrims talk about the same thing? Why is it so special? What is it that makes it so magical and healing and all these things? We talked about last time that two things that sort of goes together is that, first of all, when you walk, you take all the steps, and that can be sort of obvious. You take all the steps, but we're living in a society with so much impatience about getting things done or to accomplish something, and I have been terrible at that. Like when in my early adulthood, when I started moving away from home, when we started getting to know each other and we started to have ideas of business and I wanted to have things happen so fast, and there was no patience for taking the steps. What is so different for me now is that I realize that when you take all the steps, and we talked about this last time, but I love this metaphor, and that's also what has been sort of a motivating factor when I started to think about this, is that when you take all the steps, you will always arrive. You will always feel that you arrive. But if you try to skip steps, you will not arrive in the same way. And when you consider traveling like with a plane, or even though that bus, car, and train can be similar because you can see where you're going and so on, especially when you travel by plane, you need some time to actually arrive, because it's very unnatural to travel that fast. If it's between continents or whatever, or even countries, it's just, a few hours traveling a few thousand kilometers or whatever.
But I suppose also one of the biggest differences. Sorry for interrupting. Is the fact that when you're walking, especially in your case, you're by yourself. There's no one. I know you had your brothers visiting you for a few days on your trip, but it's just you. You're walking there by yourself with your own thoughts, with your own like in your own bubble with your own path ahead, and it's as you said, it's up to you to take those steps. But when you are sort of traveling in any other way, shape, or form, like you are in a car, like again, you drive. I suppose you can still drive by yourself, but at the end of the day, when you're walking, like it is just you and your own sort of pace.
Yes. Yeah. And with regards to our arriving, what's beautiful is that every time you do arrive, you feel like you have arrived. There's nothing you have left behind or skipped something, or you really feel like, okay, I'm here. I actually feel I'm here. And that's amazing. And then, of course, I think the difference is also that you use yourself when you walk. The body, mind, and spirit, or those three components, they go together in this process of that processes all the time. And that also means that you will experience things that are, that are your shadows or your dark sides. They will come through. You can't hide that or neglect it, or you can't sort of suppress it. It will come through you for sure. There's no doubt about that. So that is, but again, it's just whenever you meet pretty much any pilgrim, it's just you have the similar conversations, because everybody has had a beautiful experience. Because it's just, I don't know, it's just, that's what's so interesting. It's so beautiful in so many different ways.
But so, what is it to you? What does it mean to be a pilgrim? Because I noticed on your Facebook page, you've updated your about section to profession pilgrim, and your pursuit is practicing presence. It's a lot of P's. Profession pilgrim and pursuit practicing presence. But what do you mean by that? And what does it mean being a pilgrim to you?
Yeah, I have thought about that, and I've actually let me think when it came to me. I think I met a woman, Marie, when I left tour. So that was after Orléans. That was halfway between Paris and Tours, Orléans. And I met Marie during the first day, and we walked together for 3 days. And that was she's the only one I've walked with and talked to, and she walked the Camino last year, and we clicked so fast, like, and it's very common that you do, but after we left each other after 3 days because she had to go back to Paris, because I've thought a lot about this, the Pilgrim Spirit, the one that I meet both like with her, but also in Germany, there was a church place where I just walked in, there was no one there, and it was all free, and I could just go in there and use the bed and whatever, and donate whatever I wanted to stay. And that experience of just clicking with both places, the feeling of sharing with someone else, the hospitality that you either meet with other people or receive, because people look at you kind of weird when you walk into a town, and they both with respect and acknowledgement, and because you don't look like other people, right? You have a backpack on, they can see that you probably walk for a while, and all that stuff. And here the other day, a few days before, 3 or 4 days before here, I went by this town, and I was going to sleep somewhere, and I had no food. I had about nothing left, and I went to this town, and that was the only last option I could get to get any food. And fortunately, there was this very small market, this truck with vegetables and fruit and stuff. And of course, I went over there because that was my last option. And the two older ladies there, we started talking. I mean, in the French English that we could. And then all of a sudden, she just gave me 2 bags of fruit and vegetables, and she didn't want money for it, And she gave me a hug, and she was just really connected. We were really connected in the sense that it was just really special.
Wow.
And I continue to get emotional about those things, because that is, to me, what I experience, that we all want to experience. We all want to experience this sort of human connection.
Yep.
And for me, the Pilgrim Spirit is truth and trust. Those are the two words that sort of come to me when I think about the Pilgrim Spirit, because I've thought about this a lot. What is it that makes this emotion that I'm feeling so special? And it can happen, in a time where I have no food and someone wanted to give me something, or sharing with someone else, a pilgrim who have experienced similar things on the Camino or in a long walk. And the trust in each other is just there, and that makes you be able to share your truth as well. That you feel such a strong connection with pilgrims. And of course, it can also be other people. But what I'm trying to explain is this: the Pilgrim Spirit to me is just that you trust. There's a trust between people, and you're not doubting that. It's just there, and that means that you open up yourself so fast, because it's safe. It's safe there. It's safe in that space, and that to me is very nice, to at least be able to sort of understand that is actually one of the reasons why I love this so much, and also something I've questioned about: why is it that I have to walk this far to experience that, or why is it that you have to go down and walk the Camino to experience that? And I think it's a longing. Like when you walk the Camino, for example, everybody is equal as well. Everybody doesn't matter what kind of business you have or what kind of job or work you have. When you walk with a backpack, you're equal. There's nothing different about you other than you come with a different life. But the way you walk and the way you can't be more equal than that, I think. And I think it just it just makes people open to each other, and I think it's just there's just a natural bonding and kinship and all that stuff. So
do you think that's
sort of the,
do you think that's something that modern society lacks at the moment?
Yeah. I think we all I think, at least for me, when I look back, like when I talk about the religious stuff that my parents come from, and especially my dad, I used to say usually my dad, because that was the most sort of dark, or the sort of right and wrong place, or this uncomfortable, unhealthy experience, is that I come from I come from that side, and that is also part of like an to life, and ignorance towards other people, that there is only one way. There's only one way to live, and that is so false, and so untrue. And I think that throughout my life, I have been searching for this truth, searching for truth. I'm so sensitive to when things are untrue, or fake, or false, and every time I experience the idea of truth, whatever that is, and I think it's just life. When Kobe Bryant died, of course, I played basketball for many years when I was a youngster, and basketball was a big part of my life. When he passed, I was not really. Of course, it's not fun to have somebody like that pass, but what I was really interested in was looking at all the interviews from all these people that had played with him, who knew him, were friends with him. There was this memorial with where Michael Jordan was speaking, and all this stuff. What I enjoyed watching was the truth of it. That people were sad, that people were crying, that people were not because I liked that. I didn't like the reason for it, but the truth about it. That people were truthful, authentic, that this was actually had an effect on them. that had an effect on me, because I like that. I like this the truth and authenticity. That is so important, and especially during this time when we live in this world right now. I mean, we have to be true to ourselves. It's a must now, And I think honestly, people are more and more forced to look at what is important.
People
can't continue.
People are also scared, and I think living in the modern world, with or without COVID, like people are a lot more exposed, from the feelings because of social media, and because you are constantly connected. I think that's why more and more people suffer from mental health and anxiety, and But I think probably what you experience now is because you are so close to nature, like you're out there, like you're walking, like you're experiencing something that a lot of people who are sitting in an office cubicle don't. A lot of people who has a normal 9-to-5 job aren't experience that connection to nature and probably the connection to yourself that you've been longing for, probably was one of those things that you were searching for when you left Denmark. And that to me is quite extraordinary to hear that again that you've sort of connected that, or at least that you can actually see where everything is heading now. But how often are you on social media at the moment? Because you obviously you need to update your YouTube channel every day. And I saw you put a post up on Facebook saying you arrived to this town, Santiago or whatever it's pronounced, and you had a shit ton of comments. I had 150 comments or something like that. So it's so how much are you using social media on your trip, on your journey at the moment?
Probably a bit more than I should.
You scrapped your Instagram, I saw.
Yeah, I don't use that much. Of course I use YouTube, and then I think I'd use it mostly for messages, and then uploading, the different things. And then of course I probably follow it a bit too much sometimes with what's happening in the world. And I actually think I'll try and do it less the last period of time here, trying just to be less online and do what I need to do, but really savor this experience, because this is going to be an important last part of this trip. So yeah, try a little less to be on. But it's also part of the trip, so it's okay. I'm not. That part of it is fine. So.
Do you use any of it for updates with regards to your trip? Do you check up? Do you search for anything that might be happening in the city or the region you're going to?
Not specifically, but I'm in a couple of Camino groups where people are updating if anything is happening. So, for example, with Lyon, I already know that. They told me here as well that that you need to walk a different way or whatever. But everything else is fine as far as I've heard. So. So yeah, I have a connection in Pamplona, which is 3 days away. Who can help me with accommodation or know where to go anyway. So, but nothing too serious, at least for now.
So are you starting to sort of map out the days ahead a bit more now? Because I remember when you first started, you were just pretty much just winging it.
Actually, it will be less now because I know that there will be places to stay, and it won't be a problem. Okay. So it would be very, very easy now in comparison. So that's going to take a lot of pressure off, and also be cheaper because it's going to be Pilgrim prices. So that's going to be good. But it's going to be more comfortable. It's going to be more comfortable, but it's also going to be I mean, there's less people on the trek now because of all that's happening, but also because it is fall. So I'm wondering how many that will be. And then it's also interesting to see if you click with anybody. You know, it's interesting to see who you meet and all that good stuff. So yeah, we'll see. I mean, there's definitely. I already know that you'll meet pilgrims now. So of course, but yeah, we'll see in what way it will unfold. So.
It's crazy, man. You'll be crossing your your fourth or fifth country now, going to Spain. How many countries have you been through?
Denmark, Germany, Belgium, France,
and Spain.
Yeah, so Spain. Fifth. Yeah, but actually, you could say 6 because I'm in the Basque country right now. So that means that if you ask anybody who's living here, they don't live in Spain or France. They don't live in Spain or France. They live in the Basque country.
Right.
And if you don't know what the Basque country looks like, it's like this. It almost looks like Danish flag with the green cross sort of from the corners.
Oh, so they have their own flag.
Yes. So
cool.
Just like in Catalonia and in Barcelona, they also have their own flag. So if you go there or here and you say you're from Spain or from France, they will not tell you that. They will not like you a lot. I think they'll say, no, I'm from the Basque country.
Right.
So yeah, I like that.
So 5 weeks. What's going to happen in the next 5 weeks then? Because obviously we need to have another chat by the time you hit Santiago. What have you got on the radar? Except for just relaxing and walking the last 800 kilometers or something.
Yeah, so it's going to be a bit more than 900 to the coast. So yeah. It's just 25% left, which is kind of nice. What's left? I mean, I think it's kind of the same. I mean, I think I will enjoy it more, or at least be more relaxed, and I think I'll take a few more photographs here and there. Again, I think I'll just trust and have faith that things will be okay. I might have a very special human being come and visit me a couple of days. I guess I'll share that whenever that happens. But
we can.
Someone I met on the last trip. So, or on my last Camino. But she is beautiful human. So
fantastic, exciting stuff, man. So just so I understand here, so when you said, so you've done the Camino twice before, is that right? Yeah. And is that the same stretch as the one you're starting now?
Yes. So the first Camino I did was this one that I'm starting or continuing now, and then the other one was through Portugal from Lisbon up to Santiago. And yeah, I mean, you can walk. There's different paths, of course. From here you could also walk the northern route called the northern part of the Camino. So you would walk. It's called the Primitivo. So yeah, it's just north, closer to the coast of north of Spain. So. But most people walk this way, and yeah, it's amazing. Millions and millions of people have walked this way for thousands of years, and I don't know. It's just special to be a part of history without it standing anywhere. And I think that's what's so beautiful about being a pilgrim, is that you have so many friends that you don't know, and when you meet them, you're like, we know each other, kind of.
It must be a special bond.
Yeah, it is. I mean, it's probably similar to when you're doing the same kind of art, or just when you're really on a similar frequency with people.
But I suppose like maybe the main difference sort of between doing an art and doing what you're doing is the fact is, you know, as you said yourself, like you are when you are out there on the road walking with nothing but a backpack, like you are pretty exposed to everything, and you're sort of pretty bare, pretty naked, if that's the right word. So yeah, so it makes you very equal. Whereas I was like, you know, some people, especially in the creative world, it can be, you know, on a completely different level.
True.
But yeah, it's really beautiful to see, like some of the experiences you've had, you know, like the lady you mentioned that gave you, you know, a bag of fruit and vegetables and stuff, and some of the other people, you know, that have taken you off the street at 10 o'clock at night and given you shelter and stuff. It's quite extraordinary, especially sort of in this day and age, where, as I said, where everybody is, a lot of people are probably a bit more fearful because of the constant media and you know, people on social media and all that.
Yeah, and that's what's so special and also kind of interesting, and maybe also a bit odd, maybe, that why do I have to walk with a backpack to experience that? And it's not saying that it's not happening other places, but I find it rare to experience this, to experience these kinds of things. And then you could say, okay, maybe we're not open enough to those things in our regular life, and maybe that is the practice, you know, or whatever. And you know, when pilgrims talk about the Camino, they talk about the Camino when walking is the preparation for the real Camino after the Camino, you know, the real life, and to take what you have learned and implement it in your life. I talked with the host here yesterday, who I guess he bought this place and made it into a pilgrim hostel. He is from Australia, actually, by the way. Talking about that, he sees a lot of people that don't implement the Camino, what you have been taught on the Camino, because you are being taught something. Life stares you right in the face when you walk, and it's a matter of you taking responsibility for your life, and then see what will I change, what will I make of a difference with all of this. And that's also, I think, coming back to what I said before, is that when you reflect on that, when you reflect on your experiences, it's really important, because why would you walk this walk, or why would you do this kind of a thing if you're just going to neglect it and go back to what was before, which is most likely on a lower level of where you are now when you finish. So I think it's really important to savor what you have learned and implement it somehow, or at least process it so that it goes with you, and take the experience seriously, and see what you implement, and then learn from it, implement it in your life, and take it seriously, especially the time after. And I know that I already feel that that's the next stage on this trip, is that, okay, this next period is walking. It's the same. It's the finish. It's the really enjoy it. And then there is work to do. There's work to do in terms of to really reflect on it in a way that that it will be used for me and for others in some way, that it will be that it will stay with me, you know, and that I will use it for something good. But
yeah, it's. I think again for a lot of people, and I'm like myself included, it's the change that is the scary part. Like, by the time you have to get used to doing something that you aren't familiar with, or doing something that is different to the stuff that you are that you've been doing for probably many years. And when you then go out and you walk this, so say for instance, if I came down and I walked those 4 or 5 weeks, however long it would take to do that, then most people have to go back to some sort of normality after that. And And same as sort of the period that it has taken you from when you started to where you are now has taken you a couple of months to, reflect on your journey and your past and made you sort of realize where you are now. So what I was trying to say is when you then go back to normality, the reality of walking and getting comfortable in your own mind and having all these revelations and stuff will slowly, every day will slowly be more and more distant. So unless you really, as you said, unless you really do reflect over that and try to implement that, at some point it'll be a nice memory. But whatever it is that you're doing, if you have, like I said, if you sit in an office cubicle or you have a construction job or work in retail or something like that, then that comes back to being your reality again.
Yeah.
I do think it might be difficult to sort of implement it long term.
Yeah, but also I think that it's important to use this trip to also ask yourself questions. What is my life about?
Oh, 100%. Yeah.
Because I don't think you should go back to something that doesn't give you as much. So if you're called to do this walk because of whatever, I mean, many do because they have a loss of whatever, or they want to change, or maybe just is to get an experience, but it gives you something. Then why would you go back to a life that is less than what you're worth? And I think that is something that is really important to figure out on this walk. Like, what is my life about? Who am I about? I can tell you that I'm looking so much forward to share this with more people, because when now I have really understood what it means to walk. Like this is really like beginning to really be a part of me in a way that now it is in me in a way that now I can share it because it is part of me, right? So I also begin to really take it seriously that this can actually help people. Like, this walking itself is so magical and is so beautiful that it will actually heal people. It will help people. It will support people in so many different ways. People don't need a coach necessarily, and people don't need something from the outside necessarily. We have what we need inside. And walking is a very slow and very subtle process of actually experiencing that. And if we talk about being impatient and this stressful society where everything has to go crazy fast, I mean, what is better to come back to your own nature that is happening in a natural pace of walking, because that is where the fruit comes. You can't really create anything if you're stressed. You need to relax. You need to have a calm mind. You need to be sort of in a natural state, whatever that means. So I think it is really important to question and to also if you come back to a life where you maybe have the habits in terms of a job or whatever. I mean, if you really love that, great, but maybe it can be even better than that. And if it's not as great, or if you feel like you come back and it's like your job itself or that life is sort of diminishing your energy or decreasing your energy, I mean, use what you have learned to make improve, to do something. I mean,
but that's gotta be, it's gotta be so daunting for so many people. It's like for anyone to say, look, I'm just gonna, take 5 weeks off and walk 800, 900 kilometers. Is like, I'm just thinking out loud here, but I doubt very many people would dare to do that, because it simply seems far too overwhelming. And I agree with you 100%. I reckon there's a lot of people out there that are, that maybe don't hate what they're doing, but it's certainly not anything that they sort of, it's not the dream job or the dream occupation. So, I get it. Like, if you go out and you reset, if you go somewhere, even just turn your phone off and rent a cabin out in the woods and just sit there and completely disconnect from social media or the world around you for a week or two, might also give you enough time to sort of reflect over your current situation. But I think too many people have I don't know, you and I have discussed that in the past, have, like suffering comfort, like they have this life and they have this framework where everybody says, you should just stick to what you do because, it's a solid job, you're going to save up money for your pension. You can retire when you're 65 or however much it is, like you have all these, like you got to just fit into the matrix. You got to fit into the hive. But for people to break out of that, it's gonna be so daunting. It's gonna that is something very few people would actually go ahead with because of social media, because of in many cases because of their friends and family who's going to try and tell them, look, what are you doing? You're not conforming. You're not conforming to how modern society works.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, that is where courage comes in. I mean, how much is your own life worth in terms of what makes you come alive? Yeah. There's a quote that goes, what is it? The world doesn't need something, or the world needs people who've come alive, or whatever. I don't forget the whole thing, but and I think that the courage is to really feel into that. What does that really mean? What does it really mean to feel alive for you? And if it means to quit your job and start painting, or whatever it might be, that really to become an artist or to do whatever, I mean, there will be a time where people will look at you with bewilderment and say, like, what the hell is happening to this guy? But it will only be briefly, because then the people who really love you, they will stick with you. And the people who was not supposed to be in your life anyway will not be a part of your life when you take responsibility and take yourself seriously. And I think one of the things that I really found interesting is that, yes, there's people that I don't see right now. But there's one of my good friends. I have talked more to him during this trip than maybe the last years. Not because we haven't talked often, but just because that, I don't know. Maybe it's just that, okay, he's really meant to be in my life in a way that we both enjoy more than we thought. So I think that I'm really tuning into me on this trip, and it's really beautiful because I'm beginning to just to love or to just appreciate, and also I really have some interesting ambitions, or at least I feel some passions about art, being more of an artist. Like, I really would like to write more. I would, I've when I've walked and I felt like listening to music, I've started to practice singing. I mean, I really like to be able to express my my voice, and I know I'm not good at it or whatever, but I like that singing something that has to do with truth, with love, with something that has a meaning,
awesome.
And creating, music or electronic music, or, I have this idea of, because Thomas Edison, the reason why he invented so many things was that he had this big warehouse, a big place where he had, like, all his inventions were sort of, around in his room. So when he was working on one and he got stuck, he just moved on to the next one and continued. And then he would, go around, and that's why he's to this day still have the most patents of anybody.
I didn't know that.
And I thought about that, that how cool would it be to have, like, this really nice room where, okay, here I'm writing. So when I'm stuck there, I can go here and work on electronic music, and over here I can write a song, or over there I can sketch or paint, or those kinds of things. So I have this sort of a dream that would be a really cool way to just both learn to create, but also create, because there's nothing. That's also what I talked about before in terms of taking the steps. Like, when you have taken all these steps, you realize that you can do anything, because you just need to take the steps. I mean, there is a period where it's tough. There is a period where you need to learn. There's a period that's tough, or you need to go through stuff, or you can't figure it out, or you're stuck, or whatever. But if you keep taking the steps, you will arrive. It's just 100%. And I think you can relate that to anything, especially creatively. I think I like that metaphor. I like that idea.
But I suppose it also comes down to how much do you actually want it? Like whatever it is you want, how much do you want it? Do you want it enough to be able to risk or sacrifice the comfort that you might be having at the moment? Because everything you're mentioning now obviously comes at you need a house. So usually a house comes with a mortgage, or it comes with a rent of some sort. And for a lot of people, again, like you need like you have the fear of the money. Like you need, I need money. You know, like that's sort of like the current. And for many people, money appears to be like almost like a currency for happiness. Or at least a tool that allow you to get something that would make you happy. So if you don't have money, you know, you can't achieve whatever it is your goal is. But at the same time, if you don't throw yourself out there to pursue something that ultimately will make you happy, in many cases, you're just going to get stuck somewhere. And I think like you've been extremely fortunate being able to still work while you're walking. So you have that option to, you know, to pay for your food, pay for your accommodation, and do all this stuff. But at the same time, I know that has never been like it was never the intention when you left. Like the intention was just you just needed to do this to have this as like almost like a soul searching experience. But yeah, look, I agree with you 100%. Like I like if people are willing to pursue those dreams or those goals or whatever it is, then yeah, it's like how badly, how much do you want it? And again, you've obviously like you've overcome that now. Like you're so close, you're almost there. And you know, when you started out, like you didn't know how much you wanted it, but right now it's not even how much you want it. It's how easy is this? I've only got 4 weeks left, 5 weeks.
I think sometimes
it's cool.
When you talk about that, I think some of the best that could happen to somebody is to try to go broke. And what is it like to go broke and not having anything? Because you know that you'll be. I mean, after that, you know you'll be okay. I've been broke so many times that I can't even count anymore almost. But it's also again, it comes back to one of my favorite sayings is, you know, if it doesn't kill you, it makes you stronger. And when you go through these hardships or these really dark times, I remember you mentioned you had a couple of dark days on your trip the last time we spoke. Those dark days, again, if they don't kill you, you know, they usually some of the moments that helps define you, that they define your steps ahead. So again, and like going broke is one thing, because that obviously to a lot of people would, you know, mean tremendous amount of stress and trauma. But if you are like, if you can just sometimes if you can just actually just take the risk and just break out of your own comfort zone, I think it's also a way to maybe get you a couple of steps closer to something that would make you happier. Whether that is quitting your job or changing careers or just doing something that you're scared of, like jumping out of an airplane or something. If you're afraid of heights or something, that would be a massive thing. Yeah, I think also with something that I've been very codependent, you know, in terms of my parents, and that came into some stuff with relationships as well. And I think one of the things that we are, as a society, we're very codependent on a lot of things outside of ourselves, you know, and we have an idea that it's something outside of ourselves that needs to be dependent on. And I think the whole expanding our comfort zone is about to learn how to be dependent on yourself, to be confident that you can actually make things happen, that you will be okay with just being you. You don't need other people to accomplish, to whatever. It doesn't mean that you don't need people or want to have people in your life. But if you're feeling this codependent thing all the time, then what do you really have? You don't have much, because you're dependent on something that is not you. But if you're dependent on you, and you can feel dependent on you because of who you are and your confidence and all that good stuff, because you have a lot of experience, because you've tried a lot of different things, then you are not afraid of failing. You're not afraid of going out on a limb. And I think that's part of, being the comfort zone stuff, is that if you don't try a whole lot of things, you become so comfortable that comfort becomes sort of a fear in itself, that, oh, can I do this? Can I do anything? And then because you don't try enough things, so your muscle in terms of that is weak.
There's also again like to go things. What is it? I think that's again another quote. Or what is it? If you to go, what is it like to go place you haven't been? You got to do things you haven't tried or something like that.
Yeah.
I can't remember what it is, but that's again another good one. But yeah, but the whole thing again, like use your dark moments to help you set the path ahead straight. Again, if it doesn't kill you, it will make you stronger. Which again is.
And also my the guy I'm working for, Derek, he has an idea where because we in our society we have so many things we can do. It can be overwhelming about all the things that we can do. But it's important to choose one thing and do that at 100%, because it will be impossible for you not to gain the things that maybe you would have gained the other place too. Yeah. Like if you really go 100% into something, you will gain what you need to gain to figure out, to move on from that, or to develop on that, or whatever. And sometimes I think we just need to lock into something and just do that, because the distraction of the other things will sort of distract the focus, or will sort of kill the focus, or I don't know what I'm trying to say, but just jump into something. I think it's very healthy, very important.
Just go for it.
So, take a fucking long walk.
Speaking of, you got a long walk ahead of you today. We should probably try and wrap this up so you can put on your new shoes and start walking.
Probably. Yeah.
When are you? What are you doing now? As soon as we hang up here, are you having a shower, having some breakfast, or? Nice.
That's my breakfast. There's some bit of fruit here, and
your fitness and health level must be phenomenal, man.
I can definitely walk far, but my flexibility, my legs have definitely become sort of like human poles, so they're very strong, but also very inflexible, it seems.
Do you do a bit of stretching at night then?
Yeah, I know I should. I haven't done that enough. So, but food, post office, and take a trip over the mountain.
6, 7, how many? 6, 7, 8 hours or something?
I think 6 or 7, at most. Yep. So, and people, if they want to sort of catch up on what you're doing, should head over to your YouTube page. YouTube is the best for sure.
Yep. So you've got a ton of videos over here already. So today is day 116. Is that right?
Day 116. Yes. So yes, that will be day where I'm crossing into Spain. So
that is so exciting, man.
Yeah, it's just beautiful to be here and to just have all this under my belt already. And I sort of knew that would be how I felt, and that I can sort of just enjoy it. I have done the majority of it. I know this trek, of course, is not to be neglected, that it will be challenging as well and all that stuff, but I definitely feel a different kind of confidence and sort of contentment, and so it'll just be enjoyable, and I look forward to a really good finish. It's important that the finish is good and healthy, and to any trip, it's good that there is an ending. So we'll see if it will be an ending in terms of the walk. I don't know what will happen. Maybe I can continue down into Portugal.
I was just about to say, you've done that one before.
I've thought about that, but then going in the other direction. But I kind of doubt it. But then, yeah, I mean, we'll see. I find it hard to believe that I will stay put somewhere for too long, just because I don't know if I can do that right now or feel like it in terms of what's happening. But yeah, we'll see. But I have faith that it will be okay, and then we'll go from there. So yeah,
fantastic, man.
All good.
Well, dude, man, look, I wish you well. I wish you all the best. I'm so excited to hear how see how you've sort of changed your whole mindset and approach to it. Like how it's really just now. It's like it's a very different Gideon to the first conversation we had. And look, I'm looking forward to having one at the 0.0 marker.
Yeah, me too. No, it's yeah.
So we'll do another one in about 4 to 5 weeks. Have another chat.
4 or 5 weeks. Yeah, it'll probably be around the 20th of November, I think. So
fantastic. Man.
So yeah. So thanks again. So it was fun to. It's really important. This has been really nice. Actually, it's been really.
It has absolutely.
Processing.
Sorry. We just had a little bit of a bad connection there. Can you
go over things and?
If you could just repeat that again, we had it there. I think the internet just crashed a little bit.
Yeah, I was just going to say that it's been really important too, and as part of this journey to be able to share and process it. So yeah, it's been really good, and I think it's part of the. Yeah, it's been really nice because it is just important to process things. Yeah. It's really important to not just experience and forget about it. It's really important to share and to process it and talk about it and so on. So it's been a really good part of the journey to be able to share it with you and talk to you about it and whoever have listened. So
yeah, no, it's a privilege and an honor to have you, man.
Yeah.
So looking forward to getting one from Santiago in a couple of weeks.
Yeah, well, I think we should do it in Finisterre at the end of the earth.
Absolutely.
So.
Gideon, all the best, man. I'll chat to you in a couple of weeks. For everybody who wants to follow along, head over to YouTube. If you just want to do a quick shout out, what's the address and Facebook? Where should people head over? Facebook is just facebook.com/Gideon's Journey. GIDEONS Journey. Yep. And YouTube, yeah, Gideon Nielsen.
Yes.
Yep. Fantastic, man. Thanks so much, Gideon. Enjoy your travel through the Pyrenees and arrive safely tonight. On your new shoes.
Yes.
Great. Talk to you soon, my friend.
Yes. Sure. Ciao.
Bye. Thanks so much for tuning in or listening along to the show. If you like the show, please don't forget to leave a 5-star review and subscribe to my social channels. It doesn't cost you anything, but it greatly helps me to build my networks and my chances of getting sponsors to keep this show running. If you want to take it to the next level, please head over to patreon.com/Stephen Helhammer and become a patron by joining the exclusive community there. You can start from as little as $3 per month. And for just a little extra, you get access to some fantastic features, outtakes, behind the scenes stuff, and much, much more. That's less than the cost of a cup of coffee per month. And that way you can help me build better content. I can devote more time to find awesome guests and just generally just keep everything flowing. If you want to be on the show or subscribe to my mailing list, send an email to steven@helhammer.com, and that is HELhammer.com. That way I can start sending you exclusive invites, random stuff, and messages that, who knows, you might enjoy. So that's it. Have a rocking day ahead, guys, and I will see you on the live stream or in your headphones very soon. Take it easy.